Hi guys, welcome to another video. I'm so glad you are here today. As you can see, I have my tray with some amount of plants. Some seeds I planted but none came because I have a lot of empty slots there. But that's how it goes when you are doing any form of farming. You will have seeds that will not germinate, so that's all a part of it, because I've had trays where everything, all the seeds germinate, so it's just one of those days. So the main focus today now is to show you my basil. Right, it's right there, my basil plant, right there. These are looking wonderful, right? So I planted all of them from seeds and the germination was pretty good. And to tell you, all of these seeds were from a previous plant that I had in my garden. So I harvested the seeds and I just replanted them again, and I have so much more basil. Basil is very versatile. It can be used in a lot of things. It can be used in teas. It can be used on your meats, in your vegetable. It gives a different flavor to it, right? So I have quite a few that I intend to transplant out today. So I'm just showing you how I go about transplanting my basil. So I will be using some clear cups. I'll be using some clear cups, you know, cheap and simple. I do have grow bags, but the clear cups tend to hold a little bit less soil because I do use potting soil, and the potting soil is not very cheap, so I try to use smaller containers so I don't have to use that much potting soil. Right, so these are just clear cups. So all I'm going to do is just like pour the bottom of each cup, and I think these are around 9 or 8 ounce, 12-ounce cups. Yeah, it's on the bottom. So these are 12-ounce cups. So I'm going to put around 2 basil per cup, and they should go perfectly fine. And when it's time to transplant them out into the garden, all I do is just break them apart and put them wherever they should go, and they will be fine because they would develop their individual root system, so that wouldn't be a problem, and they transplant very well, so no issues there. So I'm going to be transplanting all of these, and I'm going to take you through the steps. All right, so it's quite a few. I have at least 5 to 4, and this one has a lot in one of the cells. Yes, and I'll be giving you some tips on how to plant your basil. And yes, so as I go along, that's what I'll be showing you today. Okay, so I showed you my cups before, so all I did was to bore a few holes in the cups, as you can see right there, to facilitate good proper drainage, because you don't want the water to be sagging in the soil, because that would not be good for the root development, right? So you just pour a couple holes in the bottom to ensure that the water does not get saturated in the cup. And what I'm going to do now is to add some potting soil. I could mix both my garden soil and potting soil, but I'm just going to use straight potting soil right now. And as I said, I'm going to put two plants per cup, right? And they'll grow perfectly fine. No more than 2 though, because you want the roots to develop properly, right? Okay, so I'm going to put the potting soil into the cup. Right, so I have my very handy dandy handy dandy garden shovel, that I utilize. And as you can see, it's very dry, it's very light, very airy. So this definitely supports root growth, and that is what we want. We don't want anything hindering the growth of the root. So yes, basil by nature, it's a very hardy plant. So I could have mixed some regular dirt with the soil, but don't have enough at the moment, so I'm just using the straight potting soil to do that. Right, so I'm going to fill the cup about 3/4 of the way, because we're going to have some amount of sinkage, because as I say, it's very light. So if you realize, if I press down into it like that, it just compresses down. So you know that you're definitely going to need additional dirt, but you don't want to put too much in there right now until you put the basil plants in there to see whether or not you need more or not. So I'm just going to put a little bit more here. All right, so that's good enough. That's good enough, because it's going to shrink down, right? So what I'm going to do is just simply make 2 holes in it, so you realize I'm not planting them too close together. They're pretty much far apart, right? So the roots will develop nicely in the cups. So I'm going to grab 2 of my basil. So I'm going to pick from these 3 right here. I have 3 beautiful basil plants right here. I'm going to pick 2 out of those 3 to put in the cups, and you have to handle them delicately because their stems are still tender, are still small, so you don't want to just grab them. You just want to take your time and take them out, because they will break easily, right? That's one thing you need to know about your seedlings. You have to be careful with them because you can damage them. So what I do to ensure that I take them out without breaking them, I, clothespin. Yes, I just use it, just break it apart. It has 2 pieces, and I just break it apart, so I only have this piece, and I just use it. Some persons may use a pencil or anything like that, just ensure that they're not damaging the root or damaging the plant. So I insert it at one corner of the tray, right there, and then I take my time and ease the plants up and out of the tray to minimize root damage. All right, so this is my basil, and we have good root development right there. So we're just going to separate them. So we're going to take our time, don't want to break them. Take our time. Oh, look at this one, lovely roots. See that? Right, so they all have very good root system, and they have their first true leaf right there. And if you can look closely, you can see that. Ooh, let me try and show you. I'm trying to get the focus. All right, but if you look closely, right there in the middle, you will see 2 baby leaves coming up. Right, that's another set of leaves. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to gently press it down, ensure that the roots go down into the soil, and I just cover it like that. That's one. And then over here I put another one. So I'm putting 2 per cup. Number 1, to use less potting soil, and number 2, I don't have enough space to put that many cups if I'm supposed to transplant all of these, because I do have quite a few other seedlings to transplant. So that's it. transplanting basil into a cheap and economical cup. So yeah, so that's our basil cup number 1, and we're going to move on until we are through with all of this. So I'll just be sharing along the way how I sow my seeds, what are some of the guidelines I follow to ensure that I get a good enough germination of my basil, because this is a good herb. It smells really good. I love the smell of the herb. Pardon the noise that you just hear in the background when you're at home. Yes, sounds are everywhere. All right, so cup number 2. So from the 3, there's this one that I'm just going to put in and gently cover. Right, and then now we're going to move on to another set of seedlings. All right, so here I have just this one coming out. So you see, you plant some seeds and not everything germinates. That's just how it is. Nothing to feel bad about. Because sometimes, especially when you buy seeds, sometimes the seeds are old or dated, because some seeds can only last for a certain period of time. So yes, so sometimes we don't know how long the persons who package the seed have it for. So sometimes we buy them and they don't germinate very well, even when we do all the right things. So that's one thing you need to think about as well. So when I was planting my seeds, and as I mentioned before, I harvested these seeds and saved these seeds from a plant that I had previously, and you can see the germination. It's very good, right? So when you're planting these seeds, you want to ensure that you don't cover them deeply. They probably need like a quarter, just like quarter of an in, like very shallow. Just don't bury throw a lot of potting soil or dirt on it when you're trying to germinate the seed or germinate the plant, right? So you just cover it lightly. You water every day, well, as needed, because some days may not be hot and you realize that okay, your tray is has enough water in it, so you don't have to put too much water in it. So yeah, so you water regularly, and within a couple days, if I remember correctly, it should be around probably to a week, you should be seeing some germination. So that's probably between 5 to 7 days, right? So you want to pay attention to your seedlings to ensure that they are well watered, because the moment you don't water them, they are going to die, right? They will not survive, because at this stage they are very delicate, very tender. You don't want to neglect them at all. You will lose them, right? So that's cup number 2. All right, so we're moving on nicely. See, we have some bigger than some because these started germinating a little bit later than these, right? Because nothing was in these 2 cells initially. And what I did was to just, mix around the dirt a little bit, because apparently I buried these seeds too deep. So I just mix around the soil a little bit, and then within like a day or two, I started seeing some sprouts coming from them. And I was like, wow. So these were planted okay, but these were too deep. So that's why I had to do that. Right? So probably some more seeds are down there. Not sure. But yeah, this is what I got from those 2 areas. So we're moving on to cup number 3. And remember, as I said to you, you have to ensure that you bore the bottom of your cups. If you're using cups, if you're using grow bags, the grow bags usually have holes in them already, so you wouldn't necessarily have to bore the bags, right? So I'm going to pour cup number 3. All right, so before we actually move on to cup number 3, there's something I need to highlight as well. So in the potting soil, you notice there are some little white things in it, right? So these are actually called perlites. So they help to promote growth of the root of your plants, provides, and also help in providing oxygen to your plant, because you know your plants have to breathe. The moment they can't push their roots and develop properly, they are going to die. So it helps to keep the soil airy while the plants are young and tender. So that's why most times it's recommended that you start your seeds with potting soil rather than direct sowing. Some seeds you can direct sow and they come pretty well, but some seeds, very delicate. You have to just start them out with potting soil and watch them day by day to ensure that you get a good germination from them. And because it is so light, it means it can dry out quickly. So watering is very important when utilizing potting soil, right? It doesn't hold a lot of moisture. It does hold some amount of moisture, because you see when I squeeze. All right, so I am done, and I have about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 cups of basil. Or basil. Some persons pronounce it differently, but hey, it's a herb. It tastes good, and that's just it. All right, so what I all right, guys. So I'm through transplanting my basil. Um, and I ended up with around 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, around 9 cups. For some of them, I just added an extra one to it because I didn't want to use any more cups. So, and they were so tiny, baby basil. So I just added one to them, to a few other cups. All right, so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to water them. So after transplanting, you want to ensure that you give them adequate water, right? So you have to water them, and at times you may have to, so I'm just may have to add some extra dirt or potting soil, so it depends. Hi. All right, so I'm just watering them. So you don't want to just pour a lot of water on them all at once. You want to give it time, right? So you may find that the potting soil is sinking a little bit. That is normal, right? So yeah, I'm pretty much watering. All right, so you can see that the water is going right through the potting soil. So that's what you want. You don't want to just water it at the top and then down here at the bottom is very dry, because the roots are going to extend down, so it need adequate water. That's it, and we are done. So we transplanted basil, fresh herb. You can dry this, you can put it in your dehydrator, you can sun dry it, anything you want to do, and put it aside for future use. There are plenty of things you can do with basil, right? So I mean, get started and grab yourself a pack of basil seed wherever you can get access to one, and plant your basil, and trust me, it perfumes your garden. It does, right? And I will also be selling these in the future. Um, where I go in Jamaica, that's Christiana Market, where I'll be bringing my seedlings, herbs, and much more. Pear tree, because I do have quite a few pear tree that I'm selling, and Jamaican apple tree. So yes, and I have star fruit tree, or jumbilin, some persons call it. Plants that I have on sale, and permanganate. So those are some of the plants. I don't only plant in my garden, I plant to sell as well. And all of these plants that I'm telling you about, I grow them from seeds. So my pear, my apple, my jumbilin or star fruit, permanganate, all of those I started from seed. So yes, so I will have all of those, rosemary and everything. So thank you guys for joining me. I hope you learned something new today and you'll apply whatever you learn. And if you have something to share, please do so in the comment. So yes, guys, thank you, and be safe and start growing something today.